You can say, introduce the video.
Hello everyone. Today we are going to be making, oh no! We are going to be making pumpkin pies. Okay, so we're thoroughly washing the pumpkins. That's the first step. When I say that. Now we're going to dry off our pumpkins. Here. So now we're drying off our pumpkins. You can either bake it whole or cut it up and remove the seeds prior. So that's what we're gonna do because that's the more easiest way and it bakes faster when it's cut up. So we've got a cutting board, got our pumpkins, and we're gonna start off by cutting the top off. A lot better, a lot better. Now we're gonna cut it in half. So now we're gonna scoop out the pumpkin seeds, save that for later. We can either roast them or give them to the chickens. The chickens will love that also. On to the second pumpkin. Washing your hands is very important. 50, we're gonna preheat the oven to 350 or just pop them in there for 350 and bake them for 45 minutes to an hour. This is our first time making pumpkin pie, so that's what we're gonna do. So now we've gutted our pumpkins, got the guts out and everything. We are going to drizzle them with olive oil, both sides, and then eventually, when we bake them, turn them all this side down. You're gonna bake it till it is soft and you can poke a knife through it very easily. You can also tell when it's ready when the skin is bubbling up and separating from the pumpkin. We are gonna pop them in the oven. The oven's not quite done preheating, but it's okay. We can just pop it in there. Now we are going to make our pie crust while everything's baking. So the recipe calls for 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 cup, 2 cups. And now we are going to use a tablespoon of sugar. And then we're going to use a teaspoon of salt. A bit much. Lastly, we're going to have a cup of butter. Now, I don't know if I should add this all together, but there we go. So the crust is actually coming together now. Just gotta knead it a bit more. Add a little bit of water, maybe. Just keep kneading it. So now we kneaded it until we formed this consistency and ball type shape. And now we're just gonna wrap it in plastic wrap and let it sit in the fridge for 30 minutes. Okay, after a couple hours, maybe 2 hours, it is done baking. We are going to puree our pumpkin. So now we can prepare the crust. Hopefully I prepared it okay.
We don't have a rolling pin. We thought we did though.
I swear we did. I swore. So we didn't have a rolling pin. And I guess the dough wasn't the best consistency, so I just mushed it into the pan as best I could. Because this wasn't working. Now I'm going to put the pie crust in the oven at 400 degrees for 15 minutes. So after we pureed our pumpkin, we strained it with cheesecloth because it can accumulate a lot of water if we did not strain it. See the bottom? A lot of water. So we just strain it for a bit. See, it's still dripping. So now that we've drained all the water, we're left with this perfect puree. So now we're just going to dump this in a bowl. So to this pie mixture, we're going to add 1 cup of sweetened condensed milk. Next, we're going to add 2 eggs. And the recipe also calls for 1 egg yolk. So the recipe calls for 2.5 teaspoons of cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of ground ginger, and the recipe also calls for 1 1/4 teaspoon of cloves. Next, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, 1, 2, 1/2 teaspoon of sea salt, and lastly 1 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. Now we're gonna pour our pie mixture into the pie crust. So we're gonna bake this pie in the oven at 325 for 60 to 70 minutes. So we're just gonna keep checking on it periodically, and if we see that it is cooking too fast, we're going to tent it. Now the pie is just about done. Take a look. I overfilled it, but that's okay. So now I'm gonna pull out the pie. We'll just let that cool, and we'll try that tomorrow.
All right, everyone. It's the next morning, and we left this thing out to completely cool, and it has completely settled back down, which is awesome. We thought there was too much filling, but it actually turns out it was kind of perfect because it kind of shrunk. It lost moisture as it was in the oven, and now we gotta cut it open and see how it holds together. I'm sure it's gonna taste awesome regardless. We gotta see how this is gonna be once it's cut open. So we're gonna get ourselves 2 big slices out of it. Oh yeah, that's gonna hold together nice. Notice how it doesn't stick to the knife. Perfect. That feels like a good texture so far. Get ourselves each a big slice. First time ever making pumpkin pie, and this was extremely time consuming. And today we're gonna replicate it. We're gonna make 5 more pies. We're gonna be doing them all at the same time. We're also gonna try making a white pumpkin pie and see how that turns out. We'll show you the end results at the end. Yeah, that stuck together perfectly. Look at that. It's not dribbling at all. That looks perfect, actually. Now, how is it gonna taste? We gotta give this a taste test. All right, we're gonna try it for the first time. How's it gonna be? I think it's perfect.
I think the biggest mess up is...
I think we could add more spice, but that's about it.
I think the biggest mess up was probably just the crust, but the rest is fine.
The crust seems fine to me.
Maybe a bit more sugar next time.
You could. All right, everyone. It is the next day, and we've made a bunch more pies. She made these pies right here, which were white pumpkins. I didn't have much involvement in those ones. So these ones here are white pumpkins. When we cut into it, it smelled just like a cucumber, and we could tell it wasn't as sweet. And now that it cooked, it kind of looks just the same as the other pies. It darkened really nicely, but when it first went into the oven, it was looking pretty white. We put more seasoning in these just because it seemed like it was going to be more bland. We took these out a few hours ago. Now they're on the top of the hot stove, so it's kind of like keeping them perfect temperature to start eating them. And over here, this was also the leftover from that white pumpkin we used. The white pumpkin was absolutely huge. It made those 2 pies. It made this pie. Really good. We used this for weights. I already did that. Right now, at the moment, we have 2 more pies that are regular that I just made all by myself, these couple. So these are just regular ones, and they're gonna go in the oven for about an hour and a half. Here's another one for about an hour and a half. All right, everyone, we're about to cut into the white pumpkin pie. I don't think I've ever tried one of these before. If you saw those before and after pictures there, this was completely white going into the oven, and it came out like this. The ones behind us look like this going in, but they're gonna be pretty dark when they come out. So, I don't think I ever try one of these. Now, white pumpkins are very hard and difficult to cut. They're so hard, so dense with water compared to an orange pumpkin. And we also got so much liquid out of it too. So is it gonna taste better? I think it's gonna be a little more bland. It tasted more bland once we cooked it because I was eating it like a squash. So we put twice as much cinnamon, twice as much spice, and let's see how it is. Cutting into it for the first time. This one didn't even get the chance to cool down. That other one we left out overnight because we were just so tired up until 4 in the morning actually trying to figure out how to make a pumpkin pie. Okay, the inside still looks white. It only browned on the top, but this was in the oven for over an hour and a half. Okay, we don't need the spatula. Okay. Here's a close-up look. It still looks white on the inside. Look at that. Still looks white. All right, everyone. I am genuinely curious. How is this white pumpkin pie gonna taste? It looks undercooked, but it's just a white pumpkin. Oh, wow. Still warm. It's a lot looser because I said it had a lot of water and fluids in it that were hard to drain out. It is kind of the consistency of pudding. It's very creamy. You ever have vanilla chai?
No.
This kind of reminds me of vanilla chai tea. What do you think? Like a milk tea?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like a pudding. I like it. It's definitely not bad, but it is different. It's a different taste that I would recommend trying. Alright everyone, I hope today's video was interesting. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.